Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the Universal Survival Saga stage for the Red Zone Goku's Story Edition. Now the USS stage is relatively, I would say, challenging. It's quite challenging, but especially the last two phases. The first three phases are tough, but nothing too crazy. You take on Bergamo Giant Form, you take on Kale Berserk, and then you take on Super Saiyan 2 Kefla, and then obviously finally you take on Jiren Full Power. Now this isn't impossible to deal with, but it presents its own challenges, but especially the last, I would say, or second to last phase especially, will be quite frustrating for players, just due to the mechanics involved. So we'll be taking a look at all of that. For now though, we'll start with Bergamo Giant Form. So Bergamo Giant Form, 100 million health, 400k normals, 1.1 million super, gets 3% attack and defense with each attack received up to 100%. It's going to take him a very long time to get there, so he's just kind of a good setup phase. A nice phase where you can kind of set your rotations, do your thing, and just kind of like, basically have, a good time setting yourself up without being too at risk of anything. Then we'll be taking on Kale Berserk. Obviously, let's talk about the team. So we're running a very high quality team here. Running probably what I would consider the strongest team in the game. We have Fused Fighters, Pure Saiyans, and we have the Successors lead in the form of AGL Gogeta. We have the two 7th anniversary LRs with their really potent and powerful EZAs. And then, of course, we also have the ridiculously strong Vegito, and we have the ridiculously strong Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and then we have the ridiculously strong, the Int Super Saiyan Blue Evolved Vegeta. Just had a blank moment there. So yeah, of course, it's pretty good. I think for me, the big thing about this team is that you're going to want to run the 7th anniversary LRs in the first slot. Then you're going to want to float Vegeta. I traditionally kept the AGL SS3 alongside the Goku due to links, or the Gogeta due to links, because of obviously how strong, powerful that connection is. And then I just also floated the Successors units and kept the Vegito alongside the Super Saiyan God Boys. This felt very impactful and very successful at the time. So for me, there was a pretty standard kind of setup. I didn't have to change too much. I kept the rotations the same throughout. It was a very standard, good, strong, familiar setup that, generally speaking, did quite well. Now, the big thing here is moving on to Kale Berserk, who we just defeated. So Kale Berserk has a 1.4 million super, she has 80 million health, and she has attack of 30% with each turn passed. Because your rotations are set and your units are starting to do more damage, it's not necessarily the most impossible situation to handle here, but because her health is so low, generally speaking, that attack raise per turn isn't something that's going to give you, nightmares or anything. You should be able to handle everything quite well and be able to kind of deal with everything quite well. Now, in terms of the Super Saiyan 2 Kefla, she has a little bit more health, 160 million, which presents its own challenges. She has an attack of 820,000, and she does damage of 2.3, which, is pretty nuts on the super. She nullifies super attack ceiling effects, stunning and attack and defense lowering, and she will randomly change key spheres of a certain type every single turn. This can present some problems for some units, but traditionally I find it doesn't present like a major issue. I think most times players will be able to handle the majority of the first three stages quite easily. It's really the final two stages where things get quite intense. Firstly, there's a huge jump in damage. Jiren in the second to last phase does 4 million supers and 1.4 million in the form of normals and 350 million HP, so it's a big jump in tankiness, damage and output. He nullifies ceiling, attack, or defense lowering. You can attack lower him, which is something that's quite crucial, but he locks your characters in place. This is incredibly frustrating. It's one of the least liked mechanics that players will deal with when they are playing Dokkan Battle, and honestly, there's a good reason why. It removes a lot of player agency and just makes it so it's an unenjoyable experience overall, due to the fact that players struggle now with the concept of, not being able to change rotation. A lot of units are either locked rotation units or flexi rotation units, and so it can be a little bit overwhelming. All in all, to be honest with you, I find that, it's okay. We'll rather use our items and some of our active skills here. You'll see I use the Usher ability from the AGL Gogeta, because for me it's better to get through this area than it is to potentially, save all the abilities for the final area. Because although the final area is tough in its own right, due to the disable evasion and guaranteed hits and everything, for me it's, not impossibly difficult. And so I find once you can get past the, once you can get past that locking in place, I think then you can really kind of, control everything and deal with everything and have a much better time, which I think overall is obviously functionally just better in general. So that is the second to last phase against Jiren. It's the final phase that also is immensely challenging, but for different reasons. So Jiren full power has a ton of health. The second to last phase has quite a bit of health, but Jiren full power has 550 million HP. It's a lot of HP, it's just a lot of HP to have, and it can cause you problems. It's a lot to chunk through, it's a lot to deal with, it's just a lot of HP. So it can be quite challenging for players to take on, units with such heavy HP amounts, units that have such, chunky HP can become difficult to deal with. This is why we save the Vegito active. We can also save the Gogeta active if possible to sync up. But if you can just save the the Vegito active, should have enough damage. The big threat with Jiren is his critical hits. Jiren will have a guaranteed crit when he launches a super. This can be problematic in its own way, and with him disabling evasion, you can take a lot of damage. So for me personally, just on a surface level, I would say for me, that's the biggest challenge, is navigating those crits, negotiating those crits, dealing with those crits, and trying to, kind of work around them. Now, because you do so much damage with Vegito, you are able to, dish out more damage than you take and win the fight. But that's a very Vegito-centric thing, which is why you save his active skill. You can pretty much use everyone else's, but you save his active skill for this phase, for this fight against Jiren. As long as you do that, you'll be fine. You'll chunk through Jiren so quickly that you won't have, any massive problems, and you'll be able to, deal with the situation and come out okay. Ultimately, that's what you'll be able to do. So definitely is a challenge. Definitely was a tough fight. I think for me, obviously there are some select teams right now. I think for me, this is a fairly good team for handling this event. largely just due to the power of the Vegito. Like, I think that's really what it comes down to, because Vegito can just kind of crush Jiren and really just kind of, chunk through that big health and get him down to 0 with relative ease. So yeah, I think it's all good from that perspective. Obviously, if you are struggling with anything, let me know. But that's pretty much it from me. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you need any more help with team building or anything like that. And I will see you guys in the next one. So until then, take care, stay safe, and yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye.